All right, greetings everyone. Thank y'all for coming out on this Scorpio season, this cold Scorpio season. We warming it up though. Yeah, just know there's about what? There's about 3,500 degrees in here collectively. All right. When you add it all up, it's about 3,500 degrees. So if we take some deep breaths, yeah, we're gonna be all right. All right, it's warm already. So we might be sweating before the night's out. All right, but you know how we do when we open up. We want to give thanks and honor to how and why we're here, and so we have the honor of having a blessed elder, a B-Mord elder from the New York community, Sister Kofunya Ife. For those of y'all who don't know, y'all know we're here. Part of why we're here, we're going to honor Akibeka Midnight After Party. Well, one of the reasons y'all even know that name is because of this sister right here. She was the one who really opened up the portals from them just being a local band in D.C. and St. Croix to being international. You know, when you see those early shows at World Beat Center, all their early shows where they was like hot and popping, that's the sister right here. So she's going to open up for us, give us a little ashe. So here's Sister Kofunya. Welcome her from New York. Give her a Philly welcome.
Okay. Greetings and salutations. Greetings and salutations. Whew, this has been a journey. And I just want to give thanks and praise to everyone who has supported the vibration of midnight and the Akibeka. It's been a journey from 1999 to 2007, and then we took a little hiatus and came full circle around as our beloved brother emerged as the Akibeka. And what I would like people to do is to, well, let me tell you what I did when I found the word sound. I said, brother, I am not going to mourn you. I am not going to mourn you. I am going to raise you up, and I'm going to celebrate your life. And now he is an ancestor. That's huge. He is an ancestor, and he's everywhere. When I tell you everywhere, he is that. First of all, E equals MC square. Did you hear what I said? Yeah. E equals MC square. That means all energy is transformed. Just like the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. Just like in the winter months, you see the trees look like they have no life. But in spring, you see what happens. So look what's in store for I and I when we are called forward to source, because everything starts in the spirit realm first anyway. The very seats that you're sitting on was once in somebody's thought. It was in a non-physical realm. But we are not taught those things. We are taught a Western type of vibration. So we need to go forward to our indigenous Ethiopian. You hear that? I'm telling you, the brothers everywhere. Yeah, man. So we have to get forward to nature and understand nature. And I just wanted to say these few words because I am so happy to see when Midnight and Akibeka came, Philadelphia honored them with open arms, Rasta. 3 and 4 hour sessions. Who does that? And then after have a reasoning with everyone, which could last another 2 or 3 hours. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. So I say, glory to the Most High, which is within I and I. Ashe.
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 Give thanks for that life force that has blissed everyone with the guidance that we need to move forward in 2020. We have to be ready. Do you hear? Listen to the text. Listen to, many ones read their Bible and their Quran. We have it right here in music. Word, sound, power. So give thanks to the Most High. Give thanks to RAS BEN, because we have our angels amongst us. We have our prophets and priestess among us that are reminding us who we are. We have the Most High within us. Everything, as vast as the universe is, it's inside of us, not so much outside. Go within first and you'll find your pathway. And the players of instruments with the word, sound, and power will guide you. Because this is what this brother brought the guidance for I and I. Because I say we're 80% spirit and 20% human. And we have, our human tendencies of like, what a blouse and skirt. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have to let off a song. So just say that you have the power within you to do whatever you desire. Understand the reason why you were born. And stick to that mission as much as possible. And if you need help or assistance, don't be afraid to ask for that. Honor your ancestors. Venerate them. Venerate and honor your ancestors. It's not anything spooky. I know of a person through a next-sister who someone had an overdose and was out, tagged in a morgue. All right? Tagged. And rose up in 3 days. That's no lie. It's a real thing. It's real. So I know everyone is anxious for my beloved brother to give you the word sound that you need. Not, no, we have to be prepared, because preparation meets opportunity. All right, people? Yes. Oh, I don't think they're ready, Ross. All right? Yes. That's not even good enough for me. I want you to ring out a chant, Be prepared. All right? Ashe? 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 Thank you.
Yes, sir. I give thanks.
Thank you. Ashe.
Hey, I do want to give thanks for everybody coming out and hearing this message tonight. I'm glad that you were magnetized to be here. Yes. I do feel like this is an important message, but of course, anything you're saying, you're going to feel it's important. You know what I mean? So I hope, I hope y'all feel the same way. And we've been doing these forecasts. Really, we've been doing them for about 10 years, but I think at One Art, at least the last 6. And, you know, when I just like the way 2020 was coming to me and all this information, it was like, yeah, we need to come together and reason on this. It's got to be, you know, we got to keep the tradition going. We got to do it in one art, you know. And originally we visioned honoring Brother Lonnie tonight too, and getting Vital Spirit, and you know, doing it like, you know, like how he did it back in the day, you know, like. But that didn't manifest. And same time, the brother Vaughn transitioned. So, you know, we gotta be responsive if we want the Omniverse to be responsive to us, you know. So this is how this thing is manifested, you know. So please stay around for the after party. It's gonna be fun, you know. And I think you'll have a lot of food for thought to reason amongst one-on-one with at that time as well. All right? So we're going to jump into it. Some 2020 on 2020. All right? Because, you know, it's a serious year. I feel the momentum. I'm sure everyone feels the momentum heading into this year. And so that's what we're here to reason on. And we're going to look at it 3 different angles. We're going to start with like some numerology, just like what's up with the numerology of 2020. And then I want us to look at like what them call that Olmec calendar, that whole 2012 reality, because it's like that energy seems to be being reactivated with this 2020 coming. I'll reason on that. And then we'll actually look at the astrology of 2020. So that's what we got lined up. So, right, when we say...
The picture you just had up, what did it say on the bottom row?
It says, everything has beauty, but not everyone can see it. Yes. Yeah. So, right, because that's this thing, 2020. Subconsciously, when you hear 2020, whether you are making that connection to optometry and clarity of vision and, you know, acute perception, that's what 2020 is all about. You know, 2020 perception. And so that's what this year is going to be about. 2020 perception. And so a lot of the, what you say, like paradigms, belief systems, worldviews, blind faiths, things that prevented us from really seeing our reality in what we might call an absolute non-relative way, like, you know, it is what it really is, and we could see it and articulate it as such. 2020 is going to be awakening that in people. Even ones you're not going to expect and anticipate to be having insight and clarity of vision on things. They're going to be seeing it, you know? And it might sound like it's all good, right? But imagine you've been living what you now consider a lie. X number, you know, you 40, you 50 something years old, and then you wake up one day and your perception has changed to such a point that now when you retrospect, you see untruth, you see lie, you see distortion. Some people might not be able to integrate that well, you know? So it's going to be interesting, right? A theme that I think we'll see. It's like when you look in the mirror what do? Do you fix your face or do you break the mirror? Okay? So that's going to be a lot of played out in 2020. Right? When you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. What do? Do you fix your face? You get the eye boogie out? Clear the nose, get the night drool off the side? Or do you smash the mirror? So we're going to be seeing a lot of that played out in personal dynamics, people coming to a clearer vision of their life, what they've been putting their ashe into. And then how do they sit with it, But then again, right, blind faith, like, not a good season. 2020 is not a good season to be a pastor. 2020 is not a good season to be a rabbi, where you got to have people, you just tell them something and they supposed to believe you. Why? Because you the preacher. Because I'm the pastor. That's why. People going to be able to see through that. When we look at the structure of 2020, right? 2 is double. And a circle is a 2-dimensional helix. It's the cross section of a spiral, right? So 2020 is double helix, double helix. This is a year of DNA activation. And this is all just numerologically. DNA activation. I would say I envision the youth being born in 2020 to be like, to demonstrate a lot of what them associate with those X-Men potential. And even just children, like young ones coming through the 2020 reality, right? Like, we are who we are. Hopefully we still growing and there's room for our DNA to activate, but where you would really see it expressed is in the children. So really look for a lot of dynamic, unexplained potential being expressed in the children up in this coming 2020 season, When we talk about 2, and the frequency of 2 is an interesting number, The primary theme with 2 is polarity and duality, right? Twinness, okay? 2 is the foundation of information exchange. We even see that expressed with binary calculation, right? But 2 is also quantum. It's not just binary, it's also quantum. That both and. 2 has a quantum dynamic to it. And we know that we are currently in the race towards quantum supremacy, right? Or what they call quantum supremacy. This idea that you got a quantum computer that can work more efficiently than a binary computer. And they say when you get to that point, like kind of everything we already know of this technology realm is going to kind of be wrapped, because all encryption is going to be obsolete. Where they got a quantum computer that can just guess an encryption code because it's running through so many options so fast, So I would not be surprised if we saw those events unfold in 2020. Just because, you know, you're dealing, like I say, 2 has a quantum, both and. A lot of times when we think polarity, we think either or. But if you're from a vantage point where you see both poles, it's both and. That's that quantum realm. That's that quantum realm, that quantum reality. You know? 2020 is big, big part of that. And also, Amun was talking earlier about how 4 is such an integral part of our etymology. So many words have 4 as a part of its word sound, like force. Help me, brother. Formula. Form, right.
And for is purpose. What are you doing it
for? Exactly. So, thank you. So 2 is the same way. 2 is a number that is used in a lot of ways. The word sound is used in a lot of non-mathematical, non-numerical ways. 2 is an action verb. 2 is also an adverb that implies abundantly more, like doing something abundantly more, you know? And we can't talk about today or tomorrow without bringing up that 2 frequency. Okay? So when we kind of add all that up, and just add up everything we've been talking about numerologically, the DNA activation, the whole frequency of 2, there's going to be a year where bloodline reunification or bloodline dissolution is very active. 2 is all about coming together or getting apart, you know? And just the time we're in, with some other things we're going to be talking about, 2020 is really going to activate the desire within families and ones to, you know what? There's a lot of trauma, a lot of drama in our bloodlines, but now is the time that we heal it. Now is the time we stop the pattern. Don't pass it on to the next generation. You're going to be feeling a lot of that and seeing a lot of that. Okay? Also, karmic divisions. Long stay, like what they say, Hatfield and McCoy type stuff. You know? Karmic separations that occurred lifetimes ago. And children's children is playing out divisive drama that they don't even consciously have no conscious recollection of. Right? 2020 is going to bring an opportunity to seal them things up. You know, leave that in the past. You know? As well as just, like we say, 2 means also. 2 means more, right? This is going to be a year that we can multiply abundance, okay, with the right intention. And we're going to talk about that more. But there's potential for an abundant year in spite of some other social, economic dynamics that will be going down. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, in terms of like this whole reunification of bloodline thing, we see a lot of that happening within the community. Someone had just asked, who was that that was asking me about Ghana earlier? El Rico was just saying like, yeah, I've been hearing a lot about returning to Ghana. Well, 2019 Ghana declared the year of return. It said, hey, all y'all that came to this door of no return, it's time y'all come home. Okay? And 2020 is going, the momentum of that is going to grow. And again, it's tied in with this whole thrust towards reconciling of bloodlines. Okay? This is tied in with this. Also, Jamestown, we 400 years. 1619 has us 400 years out of Jamestown. Okay? 400 years is a very important duration of time. It's not coincidental or happenstance that 400 years is used in prophecy. You know, there's so many prophetic references to 400. There's a reason to that, you know, and here we are 400 years out of Jamestown. We're going to talk about the reasons, but I'm just putting that out there. And then when you meditate, 20 times 20 equals what? 400. Okay? So that's how the numerology of 2020 is really going to have some profound impacts on who we are as a collective and just our experience of being in a 400-year sojourn, you know? But why is that 400-year cycle important? Because there comes a time when bloodline karma can be seen, recognized, identified, responsibility taken, and that time is 400 years. That time is 400 years, and all of this. And so, if I could, because I don't want us to be here all night. When we say we taking responsibility for bloodline karma, what are we doing? We're recognizing omniversal law always rules in our reality.
Yes, it does.
Omniversal law always rules in our reality. One in particular, cause and effect, which says every circumstance, every condition in your reality, there's a cause, seen or unseen. That is why you're experiencing that or why you're seeing this, right? So we're at a point in space-time where it would be to our advantage. It would be wise for us. It would be like a blessing, it'd be mooring for us if we take full responsibility for our place and condition in space-time. We have to take full responsibility for the Jamestown timeline. Okay? And know that cause and effect is real. And so, if we know cause and effect is real, and we are responsible for our reality, that means we're getting out of the victim-villain mentality.
Right. Yes.
Right? We got to get up. This 400 years, it's a window to transcend that mindset. Right? And know that omniversal law is always real. It's always working. Okay? They call them the laws of Jehudi. I feel if you in here, you already know them. We ain't got to run through these 7 hermetic laws. You know what it is. But what we will say is, as far as like this 400 years, right? It would be to our benefit to recognize that through our use of free will and decision making, that law of consciousness, we or ones of our bloodline, this is what we're in a position where we got to take responsibility, not just for our actions, not just for our behavior, but also for the ones of our bloodline. If we want to heal and seal this thing. That's what this 400 years is saying. We or ones of our bloodline is enacted historical events that has created our current state. That's the law of cause and effect. As well as the apparent opposition facing us. And notice we say apparent. Okay?
Wow.
And that's the law of polarity. Because what does the law of polarity say? That if you create something, its polar opposite is automatically going to manifest. And it's your perspective is that polar opposite, antagonistic, or complementary. Okay? Continued polarized consciousness will augment apparent opposition. And there comes a time when bloodline karma can be identified and reconciled. And that time, that rhythm, that cycle is 400 years. Okay? So this is where we at. You say, well, what's the astrological correspondence to the 400 years? It's the longest cycle in the solar system. The two slowest planets conjunct or conjoin every 400 years. That's Pluto and Neptune. Okay? So that's the astrological correspondence to this 400 years. It's the longest cycle in our solar system. So if something don't seal up within the longest cycle in our space-time reality, then what does that say? It ain't supposed to be sealed. It must be dissolved. Right? So this is where we at. Either we're going to seal up this karma, right? And work it out, or not. Right? Y'all with me so far? Yes. All right. Last time Pluto and Neptune conjuncted was in 1892. Okay? So yeah, we know the significance of that. Because that was the year His Imperial Majesty was born. Right? And His Majesty has many titles. Right? But one title that I highly honor him as, in light of this, is Mystic Revealer. Because Pluto reveals the absolute truth. Neptune is the mystic. When these two come together, it's the Mystic Revealer. The one that shows revelation, one that gives us clear vision of prophecy. For many people, that's the role His Majesty plays in their life. You know? And that was the last time Pluto and Neptune actually came together in conjunction, 1892. Okay? But me as a student of His Majesty and recognizing all that I just talked about and the importance of us taking responsibility for our place and condition in space-time. And I recognize we need a historical lens to help us with that. A lot of times the historic lens we have helps us feel more like a victim and make us feel more, others are more like villains. Right? We need a historical perspective that helps us understand our responsibility. And that was my effort with the Great Mystery Philadelphia. And this came out in 2018, but I've already sold more copies of Free Your Mind and Your Mind Will Follow than the Great Mystery Philadelphia. Why? Because at this time we don't see the relevance beyond, and we all from Philly. But it's like, I don't think the full relevance of the Great Mystery Philadelphia and the information that it has been fully appreciative of, but that's going to shift in 2020 because we're going to be looking for a historical lens that explains our responsibility and not our victimization. Okay? So, yo, all right. That's not, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we warming up. Y'all warm, right? All right, we're going to pause on the heat for a minute. I hope we're not stressing the electricity, you know? All right. I'm going to shift from the numerology. And I want to talk about this 2020 in relation to the Ethiopian calendar and the Olmec Mayan calendar. Okay? Because in the Ethiopian calendar, Gregorian 2020 is Ethiopian 2012. Okay? Y'all hear what I'm saying? In Gregorian 2020 is Ethiopian 2012. And I feel like we have to pay attention to this because the things that were kind of put out there as things you might expect in 2012 that didn't manifest, right? We may see some things like that this year, all right? And there's two reasons why I feel that. One is because of what we would call the quickening, and I'm going to talk about that. And then two, just like the astrology of 2020. This is the year of, I know I had the title up there, I ain't even say it. 2020 is the year of great conjunctions. You know how I give a name to every year's reading. 2020, did you hear that? Yeah. All right, let's I want to talk about, move into the astrology, but I want to start by just making the astrological correspondences of the Soul King so we could bring it over. All right? So that 1,872,000 day count, that 5,125 years, is 1/5 of the great year. You know how, like we say, are we in the age of Pisces, we moving into Aquarius, and then you talk about these 2,000-year cycles, right? That's called the great year. It's a cycle that the earth goes through. It's a 26,000-year precession of the equinox. Okay? The actual mathematics of it, of the precession, is 25,700 odd years. Okay? If you multiply the Mayan count of days times 5 and then put it into years, it comes up to 25,626 years.
Nice.
Okay? So we're just showing you that the Soul King is 1/5 of the precession of the equinox. That's the astrological correspondence of the Soul King as a whole. When we get into those smaller cycles, I already mentioned this, the Baktun, 144,000 days equals 394 years. We already said that there's an astrological cycle that's 394, round off to 400 years. That's the longest cycle in our solar system, the Neptune-Pluto conjunction. So a Baktun corresponds to the Neptune-Pluto conjunction. Y'all with me?
Yes.
A Katun is 7,200 days, 19.7 years, rounded off to 20 years. This corresponds to what in astrology is known as the Great Conjunction. The Great Conjunction is when the ruler of time, which is Saturn, and the ruler of space, which is Jupiter, come together. They come together every 20 years, right, in a different element sign. So like, for example, last great conjunction was in the year 2000, May 5th, in Taurus, an earth sign. The next great conjunction was going to happen in December of next year. It'll be in Aquarius, an air sign. Okay? If you plot the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions in a circle over 1,000 years, this is the pattern that you get. The one to the right. And that's why Jupiter and Saturn are considered the rulers of space-time. And their conjunction is considered the Great Conjunction. So that's what a cartoon corresponds to, this 20-year cycle. All right? And like we said, 2020, this is the year of great conjunctions, because most of those planets that we talked about, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, hot and popping with major conjunctions basically throughout the whole year. Okay? We're going to start the year January 12th with Saturn conjuncting Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn. They're also going to be in tight conjunction with the Sun and Mercury. April 5th, Jupiter is going to conjunct Pluto at 24 degrees Capricorn. Okay? The summer solstice of 2020. Number one, it's going to be a solar eclipse. So that means the sun and moon will be in hard conjunct at 0 degrees Cancer. But at that time, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto will all be conjunct. Okay? November 13th, you have a Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction. November 13th is the day that all three of these planets will be the closest to one another. It's not the exact day that Jupiter conjuncts Pluto or Saturn and Jupiter conjunct, but all three of these planets. We already said Jupiter and Saturn are the rulers of space and time. And Pluto is the ultimate. Pluto is, it's the end. It's the ultimate. Major conjunction. And then December 21st, we have what they call the Great Conjunction. Jupiter and Saturn coming together at 0 degrees Aquarius. So this is all the jump offs for 2020. That's why we call it the year of great conjunctions. So now, the significance of Jupiter and Saturn conjuncting, number one, it's not a relatively common conjunction. It happens once every 20 years, right? So the average person will experience maybe four great conjunctions in their life, right? And the thing is, though, is like people that study what they call mundane astrology. So in other words, they study in the heavens and they're paying attention to world history. They've noticed whenever these two come together, something's jumping off as far as history, So that's why Jupiter and Saturn's coming together gets a lot of attention. I hope that is answering your question. Okay. So, before I go forward, I just want to seal up this thought on why I'm really feeling like, yeah, you know what? A lot of what we associated with 2012, we might see in 2020, because I think we can all agree the quickening has not waned since 2012. It's only increased. So if that's the case, then we got to look for the next logical anchor point. And if it is not in the Gregorian calendar, it may be that the Ethiopian calendar is most associated with, like, as far as a Western calendar, what they will call the Julian calendar. Okay, so you can research your calendar history. I don't want to get all, like, you know, spun out in that, right? But that might be the next wisest anchor to look at as figuring out when is this quickening going to slow down, right? But then now you can also, another thing about 2012, particularly 12/21, 2012, when they said the Mayan calendar was supposed to originally end, if you looked at that day astrologically, nothing was jumping off. Absolutely nothing. I didn't even make the chart because it's not worth showing you. Okay? Jupiter and Saturn ain't together in that chart, right? Jupiter and Saturn, they ain't doing nothing. It just looks like any other random day. But we could see 2020 is the year of great conjunctions. Like, this is serious. These are the type of celestial configurations you would expect to see at the culmination of a 5,000 year cycle. All right, y'all with me?
Yeah. Can I
Please.
the page with the dates, the screen?
Oh, I'll go there. Yeah, and we're gonna look at each one of these. I ain't just wet your whistle on them. We're gonna look at a chart for each one of these. Yes.
Real quick, just for those people who are not familiar with the Sokin, who don't know what region and what peoples that is, so that people who aren't used to, they might hear you say Mayan calendar and Olmec calendar, but not be familiar with the word Sokin. So can you just let them know who those people are and what time?
The indigenous of Mexico, who first started trotting that region probably around 1500 BC. All right, right up through today. You know? Yes, I. All right, we're going to look at all these charts. Don't feel no way. I ain't put this up here and tell you they jumping off and then we're not getting into it. All right? But before we do, I want to talk about 2019. We did do a forecast here last year, but it was real low key, right? I remember Sister Penda.
Yes, yeah.
That's about all I remember. I know there might have been some other ones up in here. I remember Penda. That's about it. All right? It wasn't a lot. But we said 2019 was purple rain, like purple rules. Purple rain, that this was going to be a purple frequency year, predominantly because Jupiter was transiting Sagittarius for most of the year. It was going to be a year of optimism, opportunities, and open portals. There was only one malefic aspect in the whole chart of 2019, Jupiter square Neptune. What does that mean? We was going to have the stress of success and abundance to have to deal with this year. The way Jupiter and Saturn were conjoining, we were going to get the reward of works and opportunity, which is what? Success. Saturn conjuncting the Sun at the beginning of the year. We was going to have to account for 30 years. Saturn is a 30-year cycle. I think the way we saw it the most, how the governor, because we pay attention, right? We say these things and then we pay attention. I think the most extreme example of this was when the governor of Virginia, my man got popped for playing Sambo in college. So, look, and I recognize what I'm called racial insensitivity, but the reality is we know how we was in college. 20-something years old. Do you think that man was thinking, if I put on this blackface in 30-something years, I'm going to become governor of Virginia and it's going to jam me up? No. The man was in the moment doing some frat stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But when Saturn is in Capricorn and conjuncting the sun on New Year's, guess what? Yeah, man, you're going to have to account for your 30 years of behavior. You're going to have to account for your 30 years. Particularly ones in Capricornian positions. Leaders, authority figures, those holding others accountable. Well, guess what? You're going to be held. Where's your account? You know, so that was the most extreme, but I'm sure we could reflect in news on this, you know, and we're going to talk about more circumstance of this. Mercury was in Sag, trine Uranus at the beginning of the year. Continued unpredictable characters doing unpredictable things on the world stage. Venus was conjunct the moon in 7th house in Scorpio. Certain relationships will magnetize success, attention, and abundance. Relationships with shared values and synergistic resources. Who was just saying they've been vibing on the word synergy? Someone was just telling me that. Someone was just telling me I'm vibing on synergy. All right, maybe they left. Akua, yes, where you at?
I'm right here.
All right, yes, here you go. All right. And
What about the Venus and Moon?
yes, the Venus and Moon, relationships with a holistic vision and purpose. This was going to be a year of that. The way I experienced this, right? If you ask me, how did this thing play itself out the most impactful? Intergenerational around social media. Okay? Where's Crystal Joan? All right. This sister right here, she embodies this transit of this year. Because she's magnetic on that social media. She's magnetic on that IG. But she also recognizes there's old heads like me. I don't get down with IG. I don't get down with that thing. You know? And so what she do, she takes it, she's like, you know what, we're going to bridge that gap, brother. We're going to bridge that gap. We're going to make it work. Right? So that's how I experienced building of relationships around purpose and vision. Right? Yeah, Neptune was in the 12th house beginning of 2019. We got to hold on to our holistic visions. We got to strive for this atonement and redemption, as well as looking for our harbor place. And that don't mean where we park our boat. Okay? Your harbor place is your safe place, your sanctuary. Okay?
What's that, October, November?
This is 2019. This
Right now. I mean, that's November.
This is all of this year. This was the forecast I just summarized with you.
Right.
Last year's forecast. This is where we at right now. As we moving into 2020. Oh, one more. Mars was in the 12th house starting the year. We said spiritual warfare through the Earth's magnetic fields is going to intensify. I didn't even have it in my heavens when we did this forecast to write free your mind and your mind will follow. But that's what the book is on. The spiritual battle with Earth's magnetic fields. All right? So, obedience, its own reward. All right. I do want to mention too, and this is why this, like, right, normally we do these forecasts around the solstice, around December 21st, around then. But I felt like we needed to do this early. The way this information is, like what we need to know it early so we can align ourselves in such a way we got that our momentum, when we align ourselves with the flow of space-time, our own momentum will propel us into the future that we want to be in, right? But we can't wait till December 21st to start the alignment. We got to align now. And a big part of that is that the year is going to end December 26th with a solar eclipse. And if you remember, lining everything back up with the Soul King, right? We said if Mescaden 1, 2012 is the last day of the Soul King, then the final 260 days will start when? December 26, 2019. These are the type of celestial alignments you would expect to see at the culmination of a 5,000 plus cycle. If it's synced up real. You know what I mean? All right. So let's look at 2020. Let's look at the chart. When we want to know the flavor of a year, we do the noon chart. January 1st. Sun at its zenith. Because that's the height of the energy of the day. Its fullest expression. Right? So when we look at 2020, the first thing that stands out, there's no squares or oppositions in the natal chart of 2020. No squares, no oppositions. What does that mean? The Omniverse is going to be offering no resistance to the momentum that we are moving into this year with. Squares is friction. Opposition is actual repulse, like counterforce. Right? Pushback. Thank you. There's none of that. Going into 20, that's why I say the momentum we go into this year with is very important. Right? Because the momentum we go in with, it's not going to be no resistance. And just to show y'all, like this is not common. Look at 2014's chart. A squared up, grand square. Oppositions and squares. Every angle. 2015. This is what years usually look like. All right? 2016 is an interesting configuration. All right? We said 2016, the theme we gave that year was the humble ascend. But we see we were wrong. Who ascended on this celestial force? Trump. This was the celestial force Trump was able to ride. Okay? I thought it was going to be the humble, but nah, it wasn't. 2017. Okay? That was a power configuration, but you still see it's oppositions and squares. You got to fit your momentum into this dynamic for your flow to work, right? 2018 marked by major opposition. Okay? 2019, I already mentioned, there was just really one square, and it was of two beneficents. You know? So it's like your problem is too much of a good thing. Okay? If you know, if it can be such a thing. Was 2019 like that for y'all? Think about it. Meditate on that, you know? But here we are, 2020. That's why I just wanted to run to let y'all see this is not a typical configuration for the year. Right? The Omniverse is going to... And look, if we said the first 260 days is the last days of the quickening, where... Because when we say the quickening is all about that omniversal response time, right? We think a thought, it's manifesting, right? It seems to me like January 1st, 2020, our thoughts are we gonna be hot and popping. It's gonna be hot and popping, if you ask me. All right, we starting the year with a Capricorn stellium. This goes back to, it is time. Everyone take responsibility for their place and condition in space-time. No more victims. No more villains. That time is done. If you're operating out of that paradigm, your actions you're gonna jam yourself up. The omniverse is gonna take that as an opportunity to teach you that you are your own villain and you are victimizing your own self. The best thing you can do in 2020 is take responsibility for your place and condition in space-time. Okay? And if you say, well, I didn't do it, well, then guess what? Someone in your bloodline did. And you are here given an opportunity to redeem your bloodline for the wrong someone else did, but you agreed to it or you wouldn't be here. So that's what the Capricorn stellium, that's the message of the Capricorn stellium. Neptune and Moon conjunct in 12th house. I think angelic intervention is really going to be hot and popping this year. Okay? Now, whether that's tangible, actual star nations, like what? Or it could be, you know, I hope I'm not out of place and really feeling like within myself that brethren Aki Bek is going to be a real archangel that we can call upon, and like, bam, we, you know, who knows what we dealing with. More like, you know, figure you an angel, right? Let's say we angels, but we ain't been earthbound in a couple hundred years. We might be able to perceive, we could see what y'all dealing with, but can we feel what y'all dealing with? Can we intimately know and relate? Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? So we got a brethren, archangel status. That's right. Because when I'm with Kafunya, I ain't mourning. That's right. How can we mourn when an archangel ascends? And the message I got was earth. Yes, I. Message I got, earth angels earn automatic archangel ascension amongst our ancestries. That was the message I got. Like when my brethren called me and blocked the sound, what, Vonda? What? I just got built a spliff, I ain't gonna lie. Lit up some frankincense. I had to get still. I had to really tune in, see what this, what? And that was what, that was the message I got. Earth angels earn automatic archangel ascension amongst our ancestries. So we got a powerful archangel in our ancestries. Yes, I. Serious thing. All right. Let's look at some of these. Let's look at some of these great conjunctions. The one, Saturn conjunct Pluto, January 12th. Yo, Saturn and Pluto, 33-year cycle. Some people work this 33. Y'all know who I'm talking about. They work the 33. It's all about controlling resources. The 33 frequency is about controlling Earth's resources. And this is the energy that tapping Saturn conjunct Pluto.
January 12th?
January 12th. Okay? So, there is going to be some global resource reset trigger in early January. And there's so many different things that can jump it off. Whether it's Brexit, whether it's the condition of the banks here in the U.S. Y'all know the banks are in critical shape right now. I hope y'all are paying attention. But what started the financial crisis in 08, what was that, Stearns, Bear and Stearns, going and having to borrow every night to open up the next day. And then the regulators was like, what's up? What's up, player? Why you got to borrow every night? Let me see your books. Right? Now, every bank is doing that. To such a degree that the overnight interest rate shot, which is usually like 1% and 2%. That joint was like 10 and 11% last month. Okay? So the banks is in critical state. And how you know it's critical? Because they're not talking about it. Okay? If they was talking about it, maybe you could have a little more faith in those institutions. But the fact that they're not talking about it, I would liquidate savings. Trump is already talking about negative interest. So what that means is negative interest for y'all, that means that they're going to charge you to hold your money. You know how they say, hey, let us pay you to hold your money. That's what your interest is. If Trump, yeah, they do that now, but they're going to straight up do it. If Trump gets the Feds to lower the interest, that prime interest rate, and just really devalue the money more. You know? So all of that could jump off in January, but then we also got this quote-unquote trade war with China. Now, why you would want to engage in a trade war with someone who owns most of your debt? I'm not, that don't add up. That don't add up. But that could be a trigger. All right? But also something else we need to watch out. Mercury's right there. Right? Just communication in general. But also specifically corporate themed. Corporate, because Capricorn is the corporation. So automatically I'm thinking social media. There may be a clampdown on the virtual reality. Okay? They've already been doing it. They've already been doing it.
Zuckerberg and Trump just partnered. They shook hands about like a couple weeks ago. They just partnered on something. They sure did.
What was this?
Zuckerberg endorsed him.
Oh, Zuckerberg endorsed Trump.
And he's on Facebook. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Now, I also know Facebook wants to introduce a global currency. Okay? So if I want my currency to jump off, what do I got to do to the current currency? Got to devalue it. Okay? So we just got to pay attention to all of these things. Yes. Please.
So cannabis industry is booming, right?
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of cash. They cannot put it in the bank. And there's a bill that I think was passed by the House, but it's being held in the Senate, called the Safe Banking Act.
Are y'all hearing her? She's talking about the Safe Banking Act and the situation that the cannabis industry finds itself in, making all these millions and billions, but they can't put it in the bank.
So yeah, I'm just adding that.
Yes, it's all of this is in this mix. The January 12th conjunction can trigger any one of these, the momentum of which can impact global resources. Okay? All right, April, Jupiter comes and conjuncts Pluto. We know in crisis what often manifests. Opportunity. Opportunity. So the thing is, we can't get emotionally spun out on what jumps off in January. I'm telling you now, something crazy might jump off in January. What I think the best way to plan for January is to have as many different forms of currency as possible. If you got a little Bitcoin, have a little Bitcoin. If you got something in PayPal, have something in PayPal. If you got some prepaid cards, cash, just diversify the amount of ways you can spend. Right? You know what I mean? I think that's the best way we could plan for it, because we don't know when this reset, we don't know who's going to trigger the reset. Whoever's triggering it is going to want their currency to be what the reset comes out on top out, right? Yeah, so we want to be ready to be able to use as many different things as possible. Sophia Stewart, and I'm going to talk about this a little more. Sophia Stewart, the mother of the Matrix. She made a prediction about cashless society and what's going to manifest because of it. And she said crystals are going to become the new currency. Look at if that happens, we Chase Morgan up in this man, right? We Morgan Stanley. All right. So this is what I want you. Like, this is how we have to be thinking. All right. All right. All right. Oh, but also with this Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions occurring in the 7th house. Relationships. Relationships. Really, we are our greatest value. Okay? This will be an opportunity to learn how important we are to one another. I can tell you that right now. This conjunction will be an opportunity to learn how important we are to one another. And the appropriate value we should place on one another. That's what this conjunction is, this April 5th conjunction. It's going to be an opportunity. All right, November 13th. This is the triple conjunction. This is the closest Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto come together. November 13th, 2020. So the ruler of space and time unite with the ultimate inevitable. Pluto is the ultimate inevitable. When we all got an inevitability, some fate we gotta face based on the sum total of our behaviors. That's Pluto in your life. Pluto's coming together with Jupiter and Saturn in Capricorn. Father time. Right? This is in the Solkin type conjunction. You know? This is the type. This is what you would expect to see at the end of the Solkin. You know? And the way to maneuver this transit, we all got a relative truth. Right? What's true to me, it's true to me. You can't tell me nothing. Right? But it's my relative truth. The question becomes, how aligned is my relative truth with absolute truth? How aligned is, you know what I'm saying? What is, we all got our truths and it's real. You can't tell us nothing. I think next to attempting to violate the next one's free will, to try to deny a next man's truth. Like, we should not do those things. It's up to the Omniverse and that person's life path for them to determine how aligned they are with that absolute truth. You know what I'm saying? That's just real. But I think we all personally are going to have to wrestle with that. The things we hold true and are convicted in and base our life on, right? And do this and say that, and, right? We all going, this November, it'll be like, yeah, well, how aligned is this with the absolute truth? We all going to have something dealing with that. It's in the 12th house. 12th house is all things beyond our control that impact our life. Does that sound scary? The 12th house is all things beyond our control that impact our life. Does that sound scary? Well, God and the angels are beyond our control. So the 12th house is where God, the 12th house is our Father's house, astrologically. When we talk about our Father's house with many mansions, that's the 12th house, because 12 is an abundant number. 12 is the first number where the divisors equal more than the sum.
11 plus 13 is 24. 24 elders. That's what it's at.
Yes, I. So, I'm saying that to say, because a lot of people, astrologically, people scared of the 12th house. There's been a fear, like Pluto got a fear factor attached to it. 12th house got a fear factor attached to it. Scorpio, to a degree, got a fear factor attached to it, right? 12th house, I love my 12th house. Because 12th house is where we have direct and personal access with angels and the Most High. So this great conjunction is occurring in the 12th house. It may be a time of divine intervention or angelic intervention. Yes, this would be 2 days after Ethiopian New Year. Oh no, 11/11, 30-something days after. Thank you, I'm time warping. All right, and then now, you know how in the old 2012, it was December 21st, 2012. right? December 21st, 2020 is the day of the Great Conjunction, when Jupiter and Saturn come together. It'll be they coming together in the 0 degree of Aquarius, and it's occurring in the 11th house, which is the house of Aquarius. So I feel like it's at least jumping off a 20-year period where Aquarian ideals, Aquarian energy, Aquarian dynamics will be very active. Social equality, social justice, egalitarianism, self-rule, self-governance. You know, we the one fitting in with the many, without the many having to tell us. You know, the flip side of that is impersonal controls. It could be a 20-year cycle where our worst fears of Big Brother, utopian, dystopian nightmare come true, where everything is, observed. There's no privacy, no secrecy. And impersonal controls govern our daily behavior. That's the shadow side of Aquarius. Societal control. With societal control, no one comes and tells you, yo, you got to do, like, all right, show of hands. Who owns a cell phone? Okay. Who told you you got to go and buy this $200 something gadget? Well, yeah, right. With the $800, I got the cheap joint, all right? All right. You gotta spend this G. Forget that your brothers in the Congo is dying, digging up these elements, and ones is jumping out of windows in China, being forced to make them, and then they just catch them in a net and then send them on back up, right? Forget all that. You gotta buy this, spend $200 a month. Yeah, we know it's going to be emitting a toxic radiation that's going to make you sterile and give you brain cancer. All right. Who told us we got to buy a cell phone?
Have you heard Buju's song?
Say what?
Have you heard Buju's new song? Yeah.
Whose new song?
Buju.
No, I haven't. He's reasoning on this. Yeah, well, that's the shadow side of Aquarius. Impersonal controls, where nobody tells you to do something, but just the wave of society, where everything is going. You'll be at a disadvantage if you don't. You know? How do we move through it? That's a great question.
Armor. And do the work.
Yeah, I got a cell phone. So I'm right there. It's not like I'm talking to y'all and I'm not having to answer the same question. You know? So we all, I see I got some Set and Rob Bay brethren in the house, as he would say, we're all a work in progress, right? Yes, sir.
You gotta get that shungite, you know? Right.
Yes, sir.
That shungite the other day, you gotta get all of that.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Hey, what's my time too? 9:09. All right. Just to mention, last great conjunction, May 5th, 2000 was when the first edition of Rocks of Ages was released. Yes, sir. All right, so, bam, here we are, 2020. You see why we got to go into the year with the right momentum. Because there's going to be some bumps. Those conjunctions is going to impact, not just our momentum, but the momentum of like what else is, it ain't just our personal momentum moving into the year. You know what I'm saying? And so we should really let's look at some of the things that does have momentum societally and just reflect on the celestial forces kind of impelling it. Maybe this insight will help us deal with it. Now, one of the big things that the momentum that's going into 2020 started in 2018, and that was with Uranus moving into Taurus. And the key word we gave to 2018 was earth change acceleration. 2018 really put into motion earth change acceleration. And that's because you had two earth signs being activated. One was Saturn moving into Capricorn, the other with Uranus moving into Taurus. And that really accelerated earth change. And we see where it's at now, where it's like every storm is causing some floods somewhere. Every weather, I should be more specific, not just storm. Every weather system coming across the United States is flooding something. It's causing damage somewhere. The wildfires, the earthquake, volcano in Hawaii. The list goes on and on. And what we really started seeing in 2019, which will probably accelerate more, is the coastal towns are beginning to be impacted by sea level rise. Where were we? What towns was them? And it was like the Jones was flooded out. It's happening. Yeah.
You go to Atlantic City, look at the beach. The beaches have been washed away all along the Jersey coast and going down Delaware coast. There's big chunks of beach that ain't there. It was there 3-4 years ago. You look, the beaches look different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, with Uranus and Taurus, big keyword, Earth, electrification. Uranus is all about energy and electricity. Taurus is the Earth. So how you put them two words together, Earth, electrification. Some of the ways, first, currency is going to become electronic. You know, the means of exchange. We see this, right? Now everybody's Zelling and Cash Apping, right? Hold on, did I miss something? Oh, yes. We also just, this whole idea of the petrodollar and the oil industry. By the time Uranus moves through Taurus, I don't think there will be a petro industry as we know it. As far as providing fuel, it may still provide chemicals and plastics, but I think we will move to alternative energy sources. And I also feel like the energy grid is going to become decentralized. I'm really surprised. I thought Puerto Rico was going to be the first example of the decentralized grid. They were the prime candidates because their grid was destroyed. And it didn't make sense if you were in a hurricane alley. Yeah, you in a hurricane alley and hurricanes destroy centralized grids. Why are you going to rebuild a centralized grid? But I don't know. Corruption, big money. I don't know what pulled the strings on that. But it didn't happen.
The world happening in the Bay Area right now.
The Bay Area is decentralized.
Well, they're doing rolling blackouts to mitigate the forest fires, and it's causing everybody to go buy up all the generators.
The world is waiting for the successful model of a decentralized power grid. Once that is witnessed by the world, it will revolutionize, dramatically change how we share energy. And I think it'll happen in this upcoming decade. It might not happen in 2020, but definitely by the time Uranus moves out of Taurus, intelligent and inanimate objects will merge. Okay? So we got the smart homes with an interconnected reality. We got the nanotechnology and 3D printing. 3D printing is going to revolutionize cyborgism. So all, you know, these things are going to be very active. These are the things, the events that are creating momentum that's going to be rolling into 2020 with us, right? Of course, AI, microchip. Big thing to be worried about is smart dust, the nanoparticles. Smart dust, nanoparticles, particles that once you ingest them, these particles can and do react to radio frequencies. So you can ingest some particles, right? Somebody put some dust, you get dust all up in you, and someone can take a little device and dial up and inform those particles to do whatever in a coordinated effort inside of you. And they already have, like, if you think like this is a far out thing, they have medical procedures based on this, you know, so you can like look up nanoparticles in medicine and see that, you know, this is what they're doing. But this is going to become much more prevalent societally. So yes, this smart home connectivity, big challenge, right? And I will mention, I think y'all need this. Going into 2020, this 5G wellness, this 5G is going to be a big issue. We need simple solutions. That's where we at. All right. Other things with Uranus and Taurus. A lot of social movements for land redistribution. We've seen that jumping off in Zimbabwe, right? GMOs. That is going to be an ongoing issue. Something else that I think we should pay attention to. There's a trend towards the end of personal ownership of land, property, and belongings. And it's generational. So old heads like myself be like, Ross, what are you talking about? But I look at my children. They lease everything. They don't own nothing. And don't want to own nothing. Have the value and the mindset like to own something is a burden. It's a problem. It's a responsibility I don't want. You know? So, but the thing with that is, if you don't own nothing, you don't have nothing to pass on. Intergenerational transmission, not only of knowledge, but wealth, is important. And if you don't own nothing, you can't pass nothing on. And this Uranus and Taurus is transforming the idea of ownership. Last thing I do want to mention on this, social economy of exchange and barter. I think we need to come up with non-electronic Aquarian means of exchange. Okay? electronic currency exchange is Aquarian. It is. But we got to go through the electronics. Time bank. 1 hour time bank. Where everyone's hours equal the same currency. Right? Come up with other examples. We got to come up with non-electronic Aquarian means of exchange. Very important. Now, Neptune and Pisces. The momentum of the Neptune and Pisces transit. Of course, we see the progression of the ganja industry. That's a Neptune and Pisces thing, right? I thought y'all was talking about the weed, like, nah. All right. Yo, when Neptune is in Pisces, if we're being properly inspired, we should all be like feeling we gotta find our harbor place. We gotta find the sanctuary. We gotta find a place that it's just we and the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the sunshine and the river flowing, you know? We all know that vision, that Edenic vision. It should be very active in us when Neptune's in Pisces. And we should be moving and acting towards bringing that reality more manifest in our life. Okay? When Neptune moved into Pisces, we knew a family, the Wise family. What they do? They was like, we out. We going to Jamaica, Ross. And we see them on YouTube, on Facebook. They doing this thing. They live in that ideal vision, you know? Because the flip side of it, if we're not living our ideal vision, or even have a glimmer of hope that that ideal vision is a potential that can manifest in our life, complete disillusion and confusion, and you know, that's why suicide is off the chain these days, and the drug overdose, the drug epidemic, and everyone's in so much pain and so much, they're identifying with their pain and their trauma. Why? Because they don't have no vision to live to, you know? So we have to hold firm to that ideal vision. That who does not have an ideal vision of what they want for themselves in their mind's eye right now?
Ross.
Yes.
And the fact that people don't understand that they can create their own reality as well. And people also don't understand sometimes that they feel that they're not worthy of it.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. That's a big block.
Yes.
Feeling are we worthy
Yes. Exactly.
to receive our biggest blessing?
Exactly.
Yes, we are.
We are.
Yes, that's
Hopefully this 2020 vision will help us see that, you know? Yeah, corporate oil is doing its thing. Now, music. When Neptune and Pisces first came out, I predicted a move to acoustic, more holistic music. But, and we also predicted holistic healthcare, right? But the manifestations, when we look at the manifestations, music industry, really music's getting more and more corrupt. Even to where now in 2019, you even got ones just coming straight out like, yeah, we down with the devil. I sold my soul. And, you know, it's crazy, right? Of course, fracking. Pennsylvania, shame on us. Yeah, we fracking ourselves to death. You know? Fukushima jumped off in 2013, not a good look, as well as the oil disaster, the Gulf Coast. All of that, Neptune and Pisces. That momentum continued. Prison reform is another thing associated with the Neptune and Pisces. Okay? Pisces, again, is 12th house. Issues of bondage and freedom, right? Being in control of your own destiny. And Neptune releases the chains. Okay? But the issue, Neptune is the deceiver. The issue with prison reform, you got to pay close attention. Because prison reform and school reform are going together in tandem, and it's coordinated. So on one hand, it's like they freeing the prisoners. What's wrong with that? Letting them out of jail, that's great. But on the flip side, they're making schools more like jail. Okay? With armed teachers. Metal detectors going in and out. Extended days. Extended years. They want you to go to school all year long. They want them to be in there from like 8 to 5. And, they're making the schools more like prisons and jail. And this is ultimately where they're going with this is tied in with the 5G. Society-based adjudication. And yeah, they put that ankle bracelet on you. In a 5G society, they could track your every move. Okay? Jay-Z put a lot of money into this community-based adjudication program. And so when you see him working with Meek Mill, don't just don't just take it at face value. And I even really questioning, because when that judge was jamming up Meek Mill and it had him in jail, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Even just thinking at the level of this judge is a professional. And this is what I'm saying. Supposedly, this judge was making decisions and doing things that would be a mark on her own record. It didn't make sense. But if you're getting paid by an upcoming industry that needs to create a social drama that we could get emotionally involved and emotionally attached to, so we cheer for the, how they create the, problem solution? Right. So I'm saying all that to say, I would not be surprised if they intentionally had Meek Mill and unjustly imprisoned all them years with this in mind. Not just the judge we just are an unjust system. Yeah, it's an unjust system, but the system's been unjust for hundreds of years. Why now are y'all worried about and paying attention? There's an agenda attached. And it's all tied in with the community-based adjudication and the money that can be made by it. So that's my 2 cents on prison reform. Another momentum we got is tied in with this music industry, with these the mumble rap thing. Because this is a serious thing. And if we want to like look at it astrologically, we would say it's a generational gap, generational difference, where you had what you might call like the OG hip hop set. They were doing their thing when Neptune was in Aquarius, right? When Neptune was in Aquarius, like we said, Aquarius is egalitarianism. Like the mic was a tool to fight oppression. That's very Aquarian, you know? And that was how like the OG hip hop, like if you could just say in one phrase, early hip hop, that was like it, you know, like, yeah, we got this mic in our hand, this is power, this is influence, we gonna roll with this thing, right? But then the Neptune and Pisces crew came. Pisces is all about the feeling. It's all about the vibe, right? What they say, Aquarians would rather be, what is it, mama? Aquarians would rather be right than happy. Pisces rather be happy than right. Yeah. So these mumble rappers, they don't give two, they don't care about nothing. They don't care about nothing. They don't want to be right. That's not a value for them. You know how and this is where this big schism is occurring. Because the Neptune and Aquarians, they're like, yo, that mic is power, that mic is influence. And the Neptune and Pisces, they like, this mic is a way I could get some lean. This mic is the way I can, get some money, you know? And, I had no idea. I had no idea when we talked about this in 2018. This is why we talk about momentum. It's important to pay attention and see the momentum of things. Because we talked about this character, Tekashi 6ix9ine. We said he is the classic Neptune and Pisces rapper.
Wow.
Beyond just being like a mumbler, not really saying nothing with a message, does not want to be right. Like he don't care.
So it's deeper than just being happy they sell the soul.
All of that.
Yeah, it's deeper than that.
But then look where the momentum of his life took him. Where and I even got to meditate on that thing because I've never seen someone go to trial so quickly. More time, my experience in courts and the judicial process, it is a very slow process. I ain't never seen no one get in and out in a year facing such big charges. So I got to meditate on that. But even with that, how his behavior just enrages the Neptune and Aquarius generation. He's a snitch. He's a, yeah, so, and then now, something else. What's this boy's name? Who's this? Young Thug, right?
Oh my God, I've never seen that picture. I've never seen that.
This is Young Thug, right?
He's out of control.
Where's Young Thug been in 2019? This is why we got to talk to our young brothers and tell them, don't put the dress on. We don't care what they tell you. We don't care what they say, how much stardom you're going to get, how much heights you're going to achieve. Because where's this man? They had this man, when he had the dress on, he was in everyone's face. He all over the place. And I think someone dropped in his ear like, yo, bruh, you gonna keep wearing that dress? He said something to Leo Cone. Where's Young Thug been? He's like anathema. So we have to talk to our young brothers. They Neptune and Pisces. They don't want to do right. They don't care. But that doesn't mean that we should not try to talk to them. Because I couldn't stand the boy when he was out. I really couldn't. But now I feel sorry for him. He's been played like, damn, imagine you getting played like that. You put on, somebody cap you up. If you put on the dress, I'm going to make you a superstar. And you do it. You end up in debt to this man. And then he just sit on your career, sit on your music. And you done played your manhood out. Influence, how much karma is that? How many young boys gonna wear a dress because they seen you in one? And how much karma you gonna have to work off for that? I feel sorry for the brothers. We gotta talk to our youth. Like, don't do it. Okay, the last big momentum is this Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto went in Cap in 08. It's going to be there to about another 3 more years. So we're coming to the close of this cycle. But this is the cycle that has caused the man to be held accountable. When I say man, those in authority. And usually we say man because more often than not, the accountability has been men in authority misusing their power as a form of sexual aggression. And the whole spectrum that can take, from sexual harassment in the workplace to Jeffrey Epstein. You know? This is that Pluto and Capricorn reality. It hit the Vatican. You know, Vatigate. Y'all know about Vatigate, right? If you don't, I got a video, No Hope in the Pope. You need to see it. Okay? When Pluto was in Sagittarius, Sagittarius rules the athlete. And Pluto always brings drama wherever it goes. Athletes were involved in a lot of crime, a lot of drama, a lot of problems. Capricorn is the leader, the man, the one in charge. When Pluto went into Capricorn, the problem shifted to those in authority. When I made this, Andy Reid was caught up in a lot of craziness. You know, his son, he had one son die of an overdose at training camp. Just all kinds of fuckery. Now you got who? It went from the coaches to the owners. You got Robert Kraft getting caught out there in massage parlors, right? The owner of the New England Patriots. The police brutality, misuse of power, this thing is peaking out. Where, right, it started with them just shooting cats running away in random stops. Now they're going up in your homes. Now they're going up in your homes. And right, the corporatization of government. This momentum is, I think this is the biggest, this will be, because this is going to be tied in with that global resource reset. Which corporation is going to be on top? They crabs in barrels. How them corporate entities work. You know? They gobble. They rise to the top by taking another corporation down. But when they take that next corporation down, people's lives had, ties with that. What's that? The joke we just watched. The Laundry Mat. Everybody should watch The Laundry Mat. Everybody should watch The Laundromat on Netflix to see how corporate dynamics impact day-to-day life. Somebody in a corporate office signing pieces of paper that impact, you know, our lives, impact how our hearts are, and everything is real. But all that's that's 2020. We're all gonna have to face with that. And we already talked about this. Pluto in Capricorn is going to be either actual or manipulated shortages of resources, with Saturn and Pluto conjuncting this global resource reset. It might not be necessary, but it'll be to someone's advantage. Okay? Some of the ways Pluto and Cap manifested, we could think about all of the best and the greatest who've been dethroned since Pluto went into Capricorn. You got Joe Paterno, the winningest college football coach of all times, getting scandalized by Jerry Sandusky out at UPenn. And he had all his titles stripped away. Lance Armstrong, #1 bicyclist internationally, all his titles stripped away. Okay? 2011, 2013, Anthony Weiner. That was the beginning of Pizzagate. We ain't even know Anthony Weiner when we was hearing him sending the nasty pics to little girls. We didn't even know that thing was going to morph into Pizzagate. Sad to say, your boy Cosby was caught up in that. Pluto and Capricorn, America's dad. The dad of dads, right? Where's he at now? Man, in jail. Eric Gardner was 2014. And that's when Black Lives Matter started jumping off. 2015 was when you started really hearing Pizzagate and Porngate. And these emails was coming out. Was also hitting local politics real hard. You had the beginning of these corporate scandals where corporations, they was just doing mad grimy stuff. VW was the biggest example in 2015 where basically it was revealed they was for like a decade, the cars they were selling having like a certain gas mileage and clean fuel measure. It was all fuckery, all made up, all lies. It didn't get the gas mileage and it was burning dirty. In 2016, our local politics got a big wave of Pluto and Capricorn, with Seth Williams and Kathleen Kane both getting taken down, right? And also the rise of Trump. Trump came into power when Pluto was at 15 degrees Capricorn, the midpoint, right? Each sign has 30 degrees. When a planet is at that 15th degree, that's the zenith of that planet's expression in that sign. So Pluto, when it reached that 15th degree of Cap, bam, here comes Trump. Obama, first 8 years of Obama was Pluto and Capricorn. But his vision of his role of an authority, very different than a Trump. You know? Also, we started having the Weinstein effect. This is when this Pizzagate thing really started blowing up. By 2016, Pizzagate was full blown. Then there was the scandals in the pharmaceutical industry, of which is really just starting to scratch. It's still just really just starting to come out how grimy these cats were, making money, addicting people, destroying communities for the CEO's short profit, you know, quick gain. So all of that's going to be coming out more in 20. This is all the moment. These things have momentum. Just like we got a personal momentum we going into 2020 with. These issues, why are we looking at it? Because these issues got momentum. They're going right in and with us. So we need to know the astrological forces influencing them so we can, you know, discern this thing wisely, you know?
Ross.
Yo.
So brother Harold.
On the production, we always been in the herbal industry. We need to be on the production side, okay? Not just consumers. All right. Of course, your boy. Okay, your boy. Yo, but when you know the astrology of Trump, Trump is being his authentic self. He is being his real, authentic self. You can't be mad at... I'll be honest. What it say? In this circumstance, I'd rather have the devil I can't predict than the devil I can predict. And I can predict Mike Pence. All I got to do is look at that movie, Handmaid's Tale. And you know the reality that Mike Pence is going to come with. Donald Trump, ultimately, he wants to serve himself. He wants to finish with a lot of money and a good legacy. Well, I don't know. Because one thing that I've observed with Donald Trump, because I'm paying attention, Donald Trump does not want to go to war. He don't want a war legacy on his name. And when he had the Hawk in as his Secretary of State, what's that boy's name? Bolton. Thank you. When John Bolton was in and was like, yo, let's go bum rush Iran. Let's give him some. Trump was like, nah, man, get out of here, man. I'm not going out like that. Okay? So, what I will say with Trump, we can't get caught up in identity politics. I think if like that part of that 2020 vision, just because someone looks like you does not mean that their time in offices and their policies is going to serve you. And I don't think no one demonstrated that better than Barack Obama. What a disappointment. The man won a Nobel Peace Prize right when he got in office, or before he got in office. That's why I went and my lady, and I wasn't active in no politics. My lady will tell you, but when the man won the Peace Prize, I said, I'm going to go vote for him. And when he started the drone bombing of Pakistan, yo, and my vote put him in. How disheartening. How disheartening. HBCUs. And now, I understand all that rap they were saying that Barack could not seem like a partial president coming in to serve just black people, right? But if you could have done one thing, bruh, HBCUs was dead and dying when you came in office, and you left office and they still dead and dying. Trump has been putting more money into HBCUs than Obama. So we got to watch. We got to pay attention. We can't get caught up in that just because someone look like us. We got to watch their behavior. You know? And Trump, beyond being entertaining, right? I enjoy, he's entertaining. I like watching him. He's funny. He's a funny dude. You know?
Steve Martin.
Yes.
And he's waking a lot of people up who been sleeping. But being so real
I don't know if we should be so quick to impeach Donald Trump. Because again, if the alternative is Mike Pence, who has seen the movie? Now, I don't know, I've never watched that series, but who has seen the movie The Handmaid's Tale? The movie with Robert Duvall. Y'all got to watch that movie. There is a Handmaid.
The original movie is from like 1989.
Yes, the original movie is from 1989. It's old. It's almost 30 years old. And it's from a book. So either read the book, Handmaid's Tale, or watch the original movie. The book is frightening and the movie is disturbing. But you will get a clear idea of what is in Mike Pence's mind. And if you know that, if you know what's in Mike Pence's mind, you might choose to keep Donald Trump in office. That's just real talk. Real talk. But like I said, Trump's being his authentic self. He's a Gemini with a Leo rising. Okay? He's got a Sag moon. So he's got a lot of fire in Gemini, fire and air. Yeah, he's inflated, you know? We mentioned that it was really this configuration that had that upward thrust that kind of catapulted Trump into his position of power. But the defining astrological event of Trump's presidency was the great eclipse of 2017. Okay? And we were here.
Yeah, we were here.
We were here for that. Having a solar eclipse party, right? Everybody set up their little gadget to be able to, indirectly look at the eclipse, right? But usually when an eclipse transits a nation, it's a fateful time for that nation and its leader. Historically, that's what they associate eclipses with. And the solar eclipse fell in Donald Trump's 12th house. Okay? And so we said, when we were looking at the eclipse, within 28 days of the eclipse, things beyond Trump's control will cause revelations of his deepest secrets and possibly end his rule. That was when one of them scandals, but that's still rolling out. We know how this impeachment momentum, this is why we got to talk, we're talking about momentum, and we got to look at events and how they progress through time. This impeachment inquiry we're looking at now, the momentum of it really is coming out of this eclipse, 2017. And it might cause the worst to come out of Trump. And we see it, The eclipse fell in the U.S.'s 4th house, which is the domestic scene. And we've seen that rise in what them called domestic terrorism and, what they say, homegrown terrorism, right? And domestic conflicts. We had the one eclipse in 2017. There's going to be another eclipse 2024. So we're like in the middle of two significant eclipses, both of which are going to traverse the U.S. Significant. And if anybody's familiar with Jackson County, Illinois, that's the magic spot. That's the point that both eclipses will have traversed.
What's that city called?
It is called Jackson County, Illinois.
Okay. So you know the Cahokia Mountains are like...
Doing, thank you. So we know where we're going to be in 2024. Where are we going to be 2024? Cahokia. Thank you, brother.
That's the belly button right there.
Yes, I. All right. Now, we're talking about the U.S. I wanted to look at the Great Conjunction, that triple conjunction chart. Where does it fall in the U.S.? The U.S. is actually having its Pluto return this year. The United States was born with Pluto in Capricorn. And we about 260 something years after the birth of the nation. Pluto cycle is about 260 something years. The triple conjunction is going to occur right on the United States' Pluto in the 9th house. So what came to me, space-time is going to make the nation face hard truths about itself, because Pluto deals with the truth. How is this nation aligned? This truth, this nation has a relative truth, right? Just like us, this nation has a relative truth. How aligned is it with the absolute? That triple conjunction is going to make the nation have to face that. And that great conjunction opposes the Mercury, the natal Mercury of the United States. I think it's going to blow, whatever happens, it's going to blow our mind. It's going to blow our mind. We're going to be blown away. You know, if something blow you away, we're going to be blown away. November. The United States as a nation, we're going to be like, damn, that thing happened? All right. The retrogrades of 2020. You know, Mercury always goes retrograde 3 times a year. February 17th to March 10th is the first one. June 18th to July 12th is the second Mercury retrograde. October 14th, November 3rd is the third. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. We're in Mercury retrograde now. Okay? But the thing with Mercury retrograde, if you're doing your thing when Mercury's direct, Mercury retrograde is fun. You're going to get them rewards of what you was doing right when Mercury was direct. Other retrograde cycles for 2020, Venus. Venus didn't go retrograde this year in 2019. But Venus will go retrograde in 2020. That's the time to reevaluate. Venus is our values. What is really important? May 13th, June 5th. Jupiter retrograde. That's when we exhale and deflate. So we can't expand all the time. Sometimes we got to deflate. So that might feel like, you know, like if you don't plan for the deflate, like you breathing in, but you don't plan to exhale right, you're going to be gasping for air. You don't want to be gasping for cash when Jupiter's retrograde. Plan for the exhale. Y'all with me? Yeah. Saturn is retrograde also May through September. Okay? And then once they go direct, Mars goes retrograde towards the end of 2020, September 9th through November. And I already did mention this. The summer solstice is also a new moon solar eclipse. Some powerful number days to be mindful of. The Aquarius cycle. 2/2/2020, 2/20/2020, 2/22/2020. Powerful activation, numerology days. All in Aquarius. Also, to build momentum going into this year. How many Pisces is in the room? All right, listen up, Pisces. My brethren, our brethren, Professor Kareem.
Yes, the general.
He used to always stay in my ear. He said, "RAS, if we can get 12 Pisces together in prayer, we will change the world. That's what he kept telling me. We got to get 12 Pisces together at that Lenape mound where they say what we do there happens with the full participation of the earth. All right, so yeah, I think that's it. I think that's my wrap on 2020 on 2020.